ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवमुपास्महे. Sumukam, the one who has mukam is face. So Sumukam, beautiful face of Bhagavan Sri Rama. So whenever we speak of beauty, Rama's face can come to our mind. Sumukam, one with a very pleasant and auspicious divine face. Sumukam. So this is just an external appearance. It is just the face which we are speaking about. Suhridam, his heart is so beautiful. So it is not about the external appearance. We usually say, like face is the reflection of our heart. So Bhagavan's heart is so beautiful that it is reflected in his face. Suhridam. Sulabham. He's a king, a prince, right? Is he accessible? Even though he's a Raja the Raja, Sulabham, he's accessible, easily accessible. Sukadam. Sukadam, he gives us happiness, right? He gives us all Sukham. Sukham Dadati. So here, whenever the word Su is added, the previous words, we can understand it as a superlative degree. Okay. So, Mukam, Sumukam, such an auspicious divine face. Sumukam, Suhridam, Sulabham. Is he accessible? Extremely accessible. In fact, when we speak about Rama, Valmiki Maharishi says that whenever people are coming, usually people wait for other person to start the discussion, right? But Bhagavan Sri Rama initiates the conversation. Irrespective of the person, he does not hesitate to go and speak. He trigger starts the conversation. So he's such a Sulabha, it says. So Sulabham. Sukhadam. He gives happiness to everybody. He gives Sukha. Swanujam, a very interesting phrase. So he's along with his brother, Swanujam. So here it can mean Lakshmana, who never got separated from Bhagavan Sri Rama. Anuja is younger brother, right? So Swanuja, he's along with his younger brother. So the focus is on Lakshmana. Sukhayam, his beautiful body. Kaya is body. Sukhaya. So this is an explanation by Hanuman to Sita Devi when Hanumanji meets Sita on how Bhagavan Sri Rama looks. She wants to confirm that the person who has come is not Ravana in a disguised form. So if you've really seen Rama, give me the details. Sita wants to know. So at that time, Hanumanji explains about Bhagavan Sri Rama. So Sukhayam, his body itself is so beautiful. Sukhayam. Amoga Sharam. So the Shara, his arrows are unfailing. So infallible arrows. Rama Bhana we say, right? It never misses the target. So it never goes waste. So it is Amoha Shara. Apahaya. So forsaking, abandoning. That's something that Rama never knows, right? Raghudvaham. Raghudvaham means that he's the carrier of the Raghu dynasty. In this case, the leader of the Raghu dynasty. Anyamaham. To anybody else, na katanchana, never. Kanchana, at any point of time, never. Jatu, I will not go. Bhaje, and worship or adore. So I will never adore anybody else other than the Raghudvaham, the carrier of Raghu dynasty, Bhagavan Sri Rama. So Raghudvaham is like, he was a leader in this Ikshvaku lineage, right? So that Ikshvaku Kula had a lot of dharma. They were a lot of unwritten rules which was adhered to by people belonging to the Ikshvaku Kula. So Bhagavan Sri Rama was a leader of that. He protected, he was upholding all the dharma which was initiated by Ikshvaku. So the Surya Vamsha we say, right? One such thing was ensuring that, come what may, irrespective of the difficulties you had to take, you obey the orders of your father. So Bhagavan went all the way to the forest, even without worrying about the difficulties he'll have, right? In fact, in Kamba Ramayana, there are beautiful references here. Till the previous day, it means it was a beautiful silk bed in which Bhagavan Sri Rama used to take rest because he was a Chakramati Tirumagan. He was a prince of Ayodhya. So that Rama is now using a stone as his pillow. So the heart of Kamba is like just pouring out, saying like, this is something we just can't tolerate, the one who's just been in riches. And Sita Devi is supposed to be from such a rich background of Janaka that when she walks, it seems there will be two people who are following her just to see that if some golden jewelry falls, they will just pick that up, it seems. She was adorned with so many golden jewelry that she'll not even know if something is falling. That was the way she was adorned with jewelry. And now she's given up everything and she's just going behind Rama and settling in the forest, wherever there is place, eating the fruits, whichever was available. He will look for the trees which does not have too many leaves or, which is not too fertile, mainly because he's taken the vow of not succumbing to any happiness, sukhas, basically, no pleasures of life, right? Then the shelter of the tree is also considered a pleasure. So he will look for a tree which does not have too many branches and does not give shade and go relax only under such trees. So that was a kind of, vow that Bhagavan Sri Rama took. And this is all the Ikshvaku Vamsha, not worrying about their happiness, just living for the sake of whatever they've taken a vow for. So that was the kind of life that Bhagavan Sri Rama lived. And in that, in fact, in Kalidasa's Raghuvamsha, I'm recollecting a statement which says that the Raghuvamshis spoke minimal number of words, it seems. So why do they speak minimal number of words? Because sometimes when we speak a little more, accidentally, something which is not so true can come out of our mouth. So to avoid the exaggeration or some of the words which can be untrue by over speaking, they will curtail the number of words so that only what is truth comes out of their mouth. So this is a trait of Raghuvamshi, says Kalidasa. So only a few words will come out of their mouth. And they will never keep anything for the next generation. Whatever money is earned by them, they will give everything in charity. Because if a king who is worth his position takes the throne, he will know how to acquire wealth. So we don't have to store for the next generation of kings, it seems. So Rama gave off everything when he was going for his 14 years of Vanavasa. He gave everything in charity. A king worth his salt will know how to make it. That is their beliefs. So they don't store for the next generation. All these are some of the traits of Raghuvamshis. So here, the Raghudvaham, Rama was such a leader of this kind of Raghuvamsha. So Raghudvaham basically shows his accessibility being available in this earth as a Raghukula Tilaka. So his Saulabhya is brought in. Till now, Bhagavan's Paratva, Vibhu was also mentioned in the previous lokas, right? So Bhagavan is the ultimate Paratva. He is now accessible. So the Lakshana, who can we surrender to? Who can be a Sharanya? Who is worth our surrender? Is basically told as a combination of the one who is the Paratva and who is accessible. The ultimate Bhagavan who is accessible. If both this combination is available, only to him you can surrender. So Rama is the ideal person to surrender, says Anand Swami here. Okay, so that is very clearly brought out by Raghudvaham. Going on to the beautiful adjectives used here, Sumukham, Suhridam, Sulabham, Sukhadam. So, Sumukham, his face is radiating with beautiful auspiciousness. Basically inviting all his devotees, come, have a darshan of me, So there's absolutely no fear when we see Bhagavan Sri Rama. He's so approachable with his sumukham, with a smile, pleasant smile. Suhridam, his heart, the Vatsalya Bhava, we said, right? Even looking at our mistakes as our positives. That is the way his heart is. You've done this mistake, I will take it as a positive for you. So he assumes our negatives to be positives. That is his Suhrida. Sulabha. On his journey in the forest, look at all those people who he befriended. a Vanara Sugriva, a Rakshasa Vibhishana, a bird Jatayu. So he was Sulabha. He was accessible to not just, the humans or people who were like a prince or whatever. He was accessible to everyone. Sukhadam gave happiness to everybody, right? So here, comparing this with the earlier slokas that we read, the Tirupati Devasthanam in their interpretation is given beautiful meanings. Bhagavan with this, all these beautiful qualities is now so admirable because he's got a sumukam, he's got his beautiful form, and his heart is so beautiful that we learnt about Panchanana, right? Shiva has 5 eyes, I mean 5 faces. In each of these faces, how many eyes does he have? 3 different eyes. So what happens is 5 faces into 3 eyes. So with all this 15 eyes, he's admiring these auspicious qualities of Bhagavan Sri Rama, it seems. So the 15 eyes are admiring Rama. Similarly, Shanmukha is now got 6 faces. But then he's got only 12 eyes, only 2 eyes per face. So he's admiring with that. Now, Bhagavan Brahma is upset because earlier he used to have 5 faces. And then it was reduced to having 4 faces. So, oh my God, I have only 8 eyes to admire, it seems. So everybody in their own capacity, with whatever number of eyes they have, they are admiring Bhagavan. Now, Indra is very, very happy. Look, I have 1,000 eyes to admire this beauty. So he's happily admiring Bhagavan with all his 1,000 eyes. So this was the interpretation given by the Tirupati Tirumala Devasthana. So Panchanana, Bhavashanmukha, all these people are admiring Bhagavan Sri Rama. So here, because it is all about Rama, looking this from the Ramayana perspective, look at the adjectives used by Annan Swami here. Here it says, Sukhadam. Sukhadam means the one who gives pleasure. Bhagavan Sri Rama gives pleasures to different people in very different ways. How? Sumukham. He's so admirable, right? So who admired Rama? Sita admiring Rama is a normal thing. Surpanaka comes. Shurpanaka is now there. She wants to get married to Bhagavan Sri Rama. So she goes and does a proposal. Hey Rama, I want to marry you. But then Rama said, no, I'm already married and I have a oath that in this avatara, I will have only one wife. And then Sita comes there, who is absolutely beautiful. Surpanaga is now feeling jealous of Sita Devi. So she wants to kill Sita so that Rama will not have this problem of taking a oath that, he'll be only with one wife. So when she goes to kill Sita Devi, Rama says, no, look, Lakshmana is there. Maybe you can approach him instead. Now, Lakshmana is already so angry that in their presence, she's trying to kill Sita Devi. Think about it. So he chops her, ears, nose and everything. Now, Surpanaka is angry and she's filled with lust because she wants to get married to Rama. She goes and complains. Anybody who's so angry, what kind of complaint they will say? Look at these crazy people. They brought me to this position and all, right? The initial many slokas are just about how beautiful Rama was. So she goes and says, oh, that Rama who's so beautiful, whose eyes are so captivating. You should look at his shoulders. She explains all this. And now Ravana and others there are like, okay, what is your problem? You're bleeding profusely and you're admiring someone. What is the situation? She says, no, that Rama and Lakshmana brought me to this position. So her admiration, Sumukham, she could not change her words beyond admiration to actually explaining about her anguish. So even Surpanaka fell for the beauty of Rama. So Sumukham, the first thing can be about the beauty of Bhagavan Sri Rama. So Surpanaka, Ravana's sister, fell for this. Sulabham, accessibility. Vibhishana, by birth, belonged to this Rakshasa group, right? He was the younger brother of Ravana. But then he was so confident that Rama will accept him even though he is from the opponent's group, even though he was a Rakshasa, he was so confident that the Saulabhya of Rama, the accessibility of Rama is available for him. So taking courage, he goes and he surrenders to Rama. And Rama says, Ediva Ravana Swayam, I will accept you, O Vibhishana. Even if Ravana comes, I will accept you. Much against the wishes of Sugriva and others, the quality of accessibility also, and accepting people if they surrender. So that was there in Rama, because of which, that was the most attractive thing for Vibhishana. What about Ravana? Even Ravana admired Bhagavan Sri Rama. And that is the next adjective. So here we've seen the Sukhadam can be because of Sumukam, it can be because of Sulabam. Amogha Sharam is there, right? The way Rama uses his bow and arrow, at one point, Ravana fainted during the battle. So his charioteer then removed the chariot from there and took Ravana to safety. When Ravana woke up, he was so upset. Why did you bring me here? I had to admire Rama. The way he's using his weapons is so admirable that, I should not have moved away from that place. I have to keep admiring that. So, as a person in the battle, Ravana was admiring Rama's skills. So Amogha Sharam, the way he was using his arrows was so admirable that even Ravana fell for the way Rama was doing. So all these adjectives are communicated in the initial phrase itself. Sumukam, Suhridam, of course, Sulabam, Sukhadam. Sukhadam can be categorized of all this. Amogha Sharam, the way he was using his weaponry. Now this Amogha means, Moha means wasted, right? It is not small ga, it is big ga. Mogha. Mogha is wasted. Amogha means something which is never wasted. So what is never wasted? The Shara, the arrow of Rama always meets its purpose. It is never wasted. That is what is Amogha Sharam. So this Amogha Shara, many incidents across Ramayana shows how Rama's arrows are always, infallible. Once what happened is when Bhagavan Sri Rama got married to Sita Devi, he broke the bow in order to get married, right? All of us know how he broke it, and that's why he could get married to Sita Devi. Parashurama was very upset because of this, because that was Shiva Dhanush. How can someone break the Shiva Dhanush? So Parashurama was very upset about it, that he challenged Rama on a duet. So there was this, fight between Parashurama and Sri Rama. Okay. At that point of time, Bhagavan Sri Rama says, once my arrow is used, it can never be wasted. So he tells Parashurama, you are a Brahmana, you are a well-learned person. I will not use this arrow to kill you. But if I use my arrow, it has to do something. So you can choose whether this has to, remove your ego, remove your location. What exactly do you want my arrow to do? That is when everything that was earned, the locations were taken by Rama, along with the ego, the ahankara of Parashurama. So Parashurama created a whole different place and settled in Kerala. That is one story which is mentioned. So his arrows are always useful. Similarly, when Bhagavan Rama wanted to build the bridge in the Samudra Raja comes and surrenders. To anybody who surrenders, Bhagavan will not use a arrow to kill them or anything, right? Or to do any negative thing. So he says, now that I've used the arrow, what should I do? Then Samudra Raja points it to some enemies who are creating destruction. So the same arrow was deviated there and was used for a different purpose. So it is infallible. Nobody can stop Bhagavan Sri Rama's arrows. So Amogha Sharam is mentioned. The usual interpretation to the arrow of Rama is that it is his divine will, it is his divine sankalpa. So once Bhagavan sankalpa is there, nothing can be changed in that. In fact, in many of my earlier talks also, I would have mentioned that whatever Bhagavan Sri Rama did, Bhagavan Sri Krishna told it later in Bhagavad Gita. This is my belief. So, whatever usually people say, you should lead by example. So, Bhagavan Sri Rama led by example. But for us to understand it, we need a user guide, right? A book, a compiled version, so that we can refer to that also, documentation. So, Krishna came and documented it in Gita. Now, Bhagavan Sri Rama led by example using his bow and arrow. That's what we've been discussing now. How do we know all that? Krishna advises Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita in the 11th chapter. He says, Nimitta karanam bhava savyasachin. Just be an instrument in my hand. Nimitta karanam bhava. Just be an instrument. So basically saying that don't think you are going to kill these warriors. My sankalpa is there. I have decided what should be the consequence of the Kurukshetra Yuddha. So whether you want to play a role in it or not does not matter. My sankalpa is going to take place. You can rather utilize my sankalpa so that you get fame as a Savyasachi. Savyasachi means a person who is ambidextrous. Arjuna was such a skilled person, an archer, where irrespective of the hand that he used, he was, to the target all the time. So he could use his right hand, left hand, whatever was the target, in unbelievable speed, he could reach the target. Krishna says, you couldn't be a Savyasachi, but just be a Nimitta Karana. Just be an instrument in my hand. Okay, because what is my sankalpa is going to happen. So here, that is exactly what Ramabana does. So the message to us is, just be an instrument in Bhagavan's hands. Live for the divine will. Amoha Shara. So basically, all these qualities, one person might have one, not the other. But then, hey, Bhagavan, you have all these qualities in you. You are a Raghutvaha. Who else will I go to? I cannot even think of surrendering to anybody other than you, O Bhagavan. Anyam, I will not go to anybody else. Katanchana, never ever. Jatu, I cannot go. Bhaje, I cannot worship. So it is only you, O Bhagavan, who is with this beautiful younger brother, Lakshmana. So Lakshmana is a symbol of how he is inseparable to Bhagavan, right? So he never leaves Bhagavan. In fact, when Lakshmana was there, Lakshmana is considered as a representative of us, right? How we should serve Bhagavan all the time, every single minute. And we should never be separated from Bhagavan. So like that, Lakshmana was serving Bhagavan. And when he was there, Bhagavan was like, accommodated everybody else also as his brothers. He said, we are 4 of us. Hey, Guha, along with you, we become 5. Hey, Sugriva, along with you, we become 6 brothers. Hey, Vibhishana, along with you, we become 7 brothers. So Bhagavan was adding on to his list of brothers. So the primary brother who never left him was Lakshmana. Even his other brothers, Bharata and Shatrughna, how Bharata obeyed Bhagavan's order, though it was very difficult. He lived a life of a sage, right, at that point of time. Even though he got his throne, he said he doesn't want it. And Shatrughna decided to serve Bharata, who did not have a kingdom. So that was the kind of examples they all led us with. So the brothers are brought into picture here. So when this Lord is thought of, na katanchana kanchana jatu bhaje, I cannot think of surrendering to anybody else, oh Bhagavan. I surrender completely to you, oh Bhagavan. So that is the essence that is brought out here. Sumukham suhridam sulabham sukhadam vanujam cha sukhaya mamoghasharam apahaya raghudvahamanyamaham na kathanchana kanchana jatu bhaje.